To order. There is no regrets. All our council is here, except for our CAO, Alain. However, he sent his replacement, Carl Boudreau and Renee Jedry. We're in good hands with them. Thank you for coming. We also have Colin Fraser, who's sitting down at our meeting tonight. Thank you for coming, Colin. So now we shall, anybody who feels that they have to stand or move, feel free to do so. Approval of our agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda? Seeing none. If there's any conflict of interest, you can declare it now or wait till later on.
I would declare a conflict of interest once we get down to 9F, which is the banking agreement renewal.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Surratt.
Thank you. Same, I need to also declare a conflict of interest in that same
Okay.
article.
All right. Thank you. So we need a motion to approve the agenda. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. The adoption of minutes, is there any corrections? Seeing none, the minutes will be approved as circulated. 5, staff report. This comes every month, and there's a department head report, clerk's report, and building permit report, and they all have attachments, and I'm sure you've all gone through them. Do you have any questions? Seeing none, we shall move on. Oh, I'm sorry. Councillor Surratt.
No problem. I just had a kind of a strange question. As I was looking through the complete projects, just curious, how long do they stay on the books in the template as complete? Because I noticed there was like 2022s. Is it during that strategic planning time frame or?
Thank you, Deputy Warden. To be honest, Councillor Surratt, we haven't really decided when to take them off. However, we have talked about the clerk's report. I'm going to start dividing that by years. So I could also do that with the department head report. That would be no problem at all. And then you would just see it by year and also completed, but current year as well.
I was just wondering because it is listed there, so it's kind of nice. And like I said, during that strategic cyclical time would be nice to see. But like you said, it's kind of like, okay, I've read this part, I've read this part, kind of divided somehow would be great.
Absolutely.
Is there any more questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move to 6, 7-day notice, Article P44, Salary Administration Policy, and I do believe Carl Boudreau.
Speak on this one. So this was a policy that was asked for by council to be developed. CAO Muse has worked on this for quite some time. This would be your 7-day notice to review it. It will actually be more than 7 days because you do not have another meeting for quite some time. So you guys will have some time to ask some questions around this, around the review. But this would be in line with what other municipal units have done, and it breaks things down into salary scales and groupings. And speaking with CAO Muse today, probably when you see a final copy, you're going to see those groupings more defined, probably not by name of position, but by type of position more than director, department heads, management certified staff, what that means. He's going to define those a little bit more. But you guys will have lots of time to review this one and ask questions before it comes back to the table.
So do we have any questions? Seeing none, we shall move to 7, presentation follow-up. And these follow-ups were presentations. We have a policy now that presentations will not be decided upon at that particular meeting, but will be decided upon on the next meeting. So we have A, B, and C, which are similar items. One is, we've got your backpacks, the other one is the Evangel Free Store, and C is Rural Communities Foundation of Nova Scotia. They all have to do with funding school lunch programs and stuff. And there are two suggestive motions. I'm sure you guys have read the attachments. One is to expand our funding, and the other one is to deny or reject this funding. Any questions on that? Councilor Surratt.
Thanks. I think I had more questions, I guess. So when I read the RFD food insecurity piece, and it talked about how we had repeal of our emergency fund policy in favor of social aid organization in our community. I actually have kind of forgotten about that, and so I'd need a refresher on kind of what that decision was and what we had, how that had changed, because my first initial reaction was how, instead of making a whole new policy on food insecurity, housing insecurity, social justice, there's a lot of pieces in this, more so than just creating a food insecurity policy for me. So when I was looking at it, I was thinking about, and I know the grants to organization piece has been changed many, many times, but it was, so should our grants to organization, rather than creating a policy specific to this, should the grants to organization policy be expanded in a different way? And should it look at, I kind of had three loose categories around like cultural, recreation, and services. And services would include food insecurity, but it could also include other kind of services, because I think we're living in a time where life is expensive, and we're going to be continuing getting these requests. But it's not always going to be around food. There might be other pieces that we need to consider. And so when I look at our grants to organization and the categories, I have a really hard time fitting in services into any of those categories. So I think we need to expand it beyond just food insecurity, but it's like, what does a category look like? And it might be, like I said, services in general, because there's a lot of pieces that other services might need support.
Warden Albright.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I like the idea of that. I feel like, so we had an emergency fund, and that was, every year, it was the same number. I think it was around $4,000, if I remember correctly. And that was if there was a demand for it. So if somebody needed an emergency service, they contacted their counselor. The counselor helped them fill out a form, and, it was assessed whether or not it was valid, and then most of the time, the funds were given to constituents. That changed into our social aid, and it morphed into that because we were noticing also that there were some food security issues. For me, when I read this, I thought, we do have that social aid fund. Even if we could, rather than start a new policy, have like a subcategory for food insecurity, because this does have a lot to do with schools. Almost every one of these categories has to do with students. So I'm wondering if that could be something we could do, like rather than create a whole new policy, maybe amend that one so that we could have a section for that, because we had 3 excellent requests that didn't fit our grants to organizations because it didn't fall within a category. And I don't know what we would name that category either. Services, it makes me a little bit nervous because we provide services to our residents all the time. So I'm not sure what the name could be. So that could be one way we could look at it. Or I'm thinking we could add to our current social aid policy about food insecurity. And we could maybe, I think it needs more funds. Obviously it does. To me, I feel like it obviously needs more funds. So that's my 2 cents.
Councilor Bourque.
Thank you. I agree, there's going to be a bigger and bigger demand. We see it all the time, that there's requests for not just food, there's other things as power, oil, clothing, and there's a lot of requests for food. Through the church, we have social aid, and there's a lot of demand for that, and it's going to get bigger and bigger. People are trying to stay in their houses, and they have bills to pay, so whether they eat or they pay their bills. So that's It's getting to be kind of scary for a lot of our seniors, young families. So I think we should be having maybe something added to our grants or something like that. So $4,000 doesn't go far in these days, yeah. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Counselor Digdon?
Thank you. Well, we know right now, if the current social aid funding is insufficient, it's not cutting it, like, we've had three great presentations, like you say, and the people that were making the presentations were saying that a lot of residents from this area, were taking advantage of their services. So I just feel as though if we're to start with creating a policy to look at things. Food is of the utmost importance. Like, you can do without power, you can do without oil for a little while, especially in the summertime, and that may be other options in the wintertime, but at least it would be a start, I think. And you could call it something down the road, or you could tag it along with something down the road, another group of monies or whatever you want, But I'd be willing for now, just to get things in motion, I'd be willing to make a motion that the staff create policy to expand funding options in support of food insecurity for our residents.
Any questions on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, number 8, old business, safety concerns, chemin tour de la butte, Conseil Foster.
Yes, I was through there today, and it still hasn't been done yet. There's an excellent letter that went out from the municipality. In fact, I would be very pleased to read the letter, if that's okay with Madam Warden, or would you choose to read it yourself? Okay, I've just got to find the letter here. What number is it again? My computer screen went black on me a second ago.
8A.
Number 8, here it is. Okay, I'd like to read the letter, if I may. The letter is addressed, I'm going to remove my glasses so I can see better. The letter is addressed to Pamela Mailman Shand, and she's the Yarmouth Area Manager for Public Works. Request for brush cutting on Chemin Tour des Buttes. Dear Ms. Shand, I am writing to formally request that the overgrown trees and brush along Chemin Tour des Buttes be assessed and cut back where necessary. The growth along this road has become excessive, and it is now creating safety concerns for motorists. In particular, it has been noted that school buses are being struck by branches when they meet oncoming traffic. This presents a safety hazard not only for the drivers, but for the children on board. The overgrowth is also reducing visibility and limiting the available space for larger vehicles to pass safely. Given the frequency of use and the importance of this route, especially for school transportation, we kindly ask that maintenance crews be dispatched to trim back the trees and brush as soon as possible. Thank you for your attention to this matter and your continued commitment to community safety. Sincerely, Nicole Albright, Warden, Municipality of Argyle. So that's an excellent letter. It really addresses the concerns that I have. And the complaints, I hate to call them complaints, but the issues that have been brought to my attention by area residents. There were 2 near misses at a local civic address on a sharp curve there. I can't remember the civic address, but there's been an email that has gone out since the letter that was written by our Director of Operations. I believe, did I get the title right? Mr. Kyle Boudreau. Again, emphasizing the situation. There were 2 near misses in the last month or so. I remember a few years back, there was actually a fatality on that very curve. It's a very, very sharp curve. You know, it's almost 90 degrees, I would say, if not that. So with the summer growth and the full foliage, the situation is even worse than when I first brought it to council's attention a couple of months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, which would have been before the spring growth. I'm getting ongoing complaints, reports. People in the area would like to have something done. And I know Mr. Boudreau has been out, he's seen the situation, he's taken pictures. I'm very pleased that council has made this a priority and written to the department. And I know we're going to be meeting with them, I think it's the 8th of July. I hope that this situation will get the attention it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Like you said, we will be meeting with them on the 8th of July, so maybe there'd be some clarification for you there as well. Yeah. Thank you. Any more questions on that? Seeing none, we will move to 9 for discussion and decision. Article C21, travel expenses reimbursed policy, and there's an attachment. The attachment is pretty straightforward. The changes or amendments are in red. I'm sure you've all read them. And there's a motion or to approve such amendments or a suggested motion.
I'd like to move that we accept the amendments to the travel and expense reimbursement policy.
I'll second. Seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 8B, building official appointment, Alex Ogden. This is just a suggestive motion to appoint Alex Ogden to the staff. It's pretty simple. Seconded by Glenn. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 8C, first reading, land use bylaw housekeeping amendment, and I will pass this one over to Renee Jedry.
Thank you. So I'll just, everybody has the attachment from the staff report. I'll just do a quick overview of what's suggested here. So our department has initiated a set of 6 minor housekeeping amendments to the land use bylaw. These changes being brought forward fix grammatical errors, formatting, omissions, and minor inconsistencies discovered since the adoption of the 2020 planning documents. These amendments are not policy changes, but rather updates to improve the clarity, accuracy, and usability of our land use bylaw. Why is it needed? The current land use bylaw has been in use for 5 years, and as staff and council and public works with the document, small errors and gap become evident. So these amendments ensure that our land use bylaw continue to be reliable. Highlighting the proposed changes, number 1 would be add Schedule M. So officially include the omitted zoning map for Abbott's Harbor Marine Industrial in the text, in the bylaw text. And then the second one would be correct grammatical errors, fix punctuations, wording issues in section 2.13 variances, and 3.4 zoning boundaries. Number 3 would be clarity, frontage requirements, adjust lot frontage standards in the village and rural development to correct unit conversion and clarity exceptions for semi-detached dwellings. And the fourth one would be include Schedule L maps, formally insert maps already referenced in the land use bylaw but not included in documentation. So the map was just never uploaded with the document. So there's public participation. These are general, non-site specific amendments, so no individual mailouts or signage are required. Public hearing is still required and will be advertised in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. Public comments will be collected and reviewed prior to the second reading. There's no financial impact other than staff time and advertising engagements. So the staff recommendation would be give the first reading to consider approval of the proposed housekeeping amendments to the land use bylaw and proceed to public hearing without referring back to the Planning Advisory Committee unless substantial public input is received, and authorize staff to advertise the public hearing in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. Is there any questions?
Any questions? Okay, this requires a motion.
I'll make that motion. My won't come on, but I'll second it.
Any questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we will move on to 8D. First reading again, development agreement application for 5964 Highway 3 Glenwood, and this is for Renee again.
I'll stop me anytime you have a question. I'll just do a quick overview here. So we received a development agreement application for the property located at 5964 Highway 3, PID 90327230 in Glenwood, which is in District 6. The applicant is seeking permission to use an existing building on the site for heavy equipment storage, maintenance, and repair. The property is currently zoned coastal community, which does not permit this use as of right, but a development agreement is therefore required. So we need this application. We need this because the applicant proposes using a garage on a 23 lot for light industrial purposes, specifically heavy equipment repair and storage. Although zoning is primarily residential and community-based, the proposed use can be considered by development agreement under the current policies in the municipal planning strategy. So the use would remain within the building, which is well set back from the neighboring properties and buffered by vegetation. Site context would be properties located along Highway 3, surrounded by a mix of residential dwellings, woodland, and community uses. Site includes an existing garage structure with no internal industrial activity currently visible. Nearby homes and facilities are separated from the garage by natural buffers and distances. So the policy review would be the MPS allows, the MPS, which municipal planning strategy, allows council to consider the type of development via development agreement. There would be public participation, so a public hearing is required under the Municipal Government Act. The sign was posted on the property May 12th. This year, we received 2 phone calls about the development. One was concerned it would be a mink farm, which we ensured it was not. And the other call just wanted to know what the sign meant. So that was the only 2 calls we received. One explained, notices would be mailed out to property owners within 152 meters of the site, and a public hearing notice will be posted as well on the website and in the Tri-County Vanguard. I believe that's the name of it, or the Tri-County Vanguard. And then public is encouraged to contact staff for clarification questions ahead of the hearing. There's no financial impact for this other than staff and the advertising. So staff does recommend to give notice of motion to consider the proposed development agreement at 5964 Highway 3 as detailed in attachment A of the staff report, and authorize staff to go ahead and schedule a public hearing, advertise and public hearing.
Thank you, Renee. So this is first reading again, we just need a motion. Do we have a seconder? Oh, sorry.
I'll second the motion, then.
Okay. Question? Med,
So the distance that you have to advise the people, 150?
152 meters, so that's
152 meters.
from the boundary line, so all the way around the
Yeah.
property, so anybody within 152 meters, not from the garage, the structure, it's from the boundary lines.
And where was that number? It's probably in there somewhere
The-
where it was picked out. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't really, they just had to pick a number, and that 152 is the number they met. That's the municipal government act, so ours, we just follow that, so we don't have anything saying that we have to send it to more.
I was at a meeting the other night, and they used 500 meters,
500 meters?
500 meters, and that was for the aquaculture agenda. They
Okay.
used 500. They never used to have it, but now it's 500. And that just brought my
Yep.
attention to why the difference
Yeah.
in the distance, so.
No.
That's just curious how we get to that number.
Yeah, yeah, it seems 152 is a little odd, but
So that would be how many feet?
500 feet?
500 feet? Yeah, probably, yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Dickton.
Yeah, I was just wondering, but that's land use by law.
yeah,
For the 152.
The 152 comes for the land use bylaw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, this year, these numbers, I imagine, come from the municipal government act.
Yep, they do.
So that's where we don't get them. I don't think they're given to us. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Is there any more questions? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we go to 8E, summer meetings, and there's an attachment. Trying to open the, it's pretty simple, and the motion is we remove council to proceed with the executive meeting scheduled for July 31st, 2025, to accommodate planning matters required from public hearings, that council recess council meetings for the remainder of the summer, with special meetings to be called if necessary. Moved by Councilor Dickton, seconded by Councilor Burke. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. 9 for, I'm sorry, are we at 9? Yeah, no. Still on 9. 9F. Bank.
Can I ask a question before we proceed?
Sure. Councilor Med.
My son is involved with the credit union as well. I don't know if I'm in conflict or not.
If it's me. Because a decision is being made to choose the institution.
Yeah.
for-
So I'm going to declare conflict.
All right, thank you.
Just to be.
Just, I'll send it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
The quorum is based on how many counselors are left, so we should be okay.
So this is a banking renewal. We're already with the credit union, and this is to renew and approve a 5-year banking renewal agreement. It's pretty much that simple.
I'll make that motion, because I'm sure it's been looked into
Yeah.
as far as, where we can get better rates and where we're getting the better rates, not only the rates, the service, which means a lot. So I'll definitely make that motion.
Okay. I'll second that. Seconded by Councilor Boudreau. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I shall wait till the rest of the gang gets in. Okay, so we're at 9G, bylaw 43, outdoor elimination and light pollution. And there are attachments for this. And I am not too, there's a new bylaw motion to favor this new bylaw, I guess. Kyle, do you have anything on this?
So, to this point, the municipality has made a financial commitment to support the certification of the dark night skies. So this will be put in place to protect that certification that we've spent time and resources on helping get certified. The goal of this, the first part of this would be around education. The enforcement of this policy wouldn't actually come into place till January 1st of 2027. So we would spend, staff would spend the first 2 years educating through multiple sources of educating around the dark nights and the illumination bylaw. With this being not a hunting expedition, but more of something that was enforced upon complaint-based. So if there was an issue in certain properties, there would be complaints made, and then we would have the ability to investigate under this bylaw. But the big important part of this bylaw is through the education piece and educating the public about the importance of this around the certification of the dark sky.
Okay, thank you. So we need a motion for the first reading. Moved by Councillor Burke. Seconded by Councillor Madden. All in favor?
There's a couple questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Warden Albright.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to talk about this, both of these, so this has kind of been coming for a while. We've talked about this, it's been years we've been talking about this. And it was because of our dark skies designation and the fact that light pollution is continuing to increase and increase. So we have to protect what we have, right? Because I remember those of us who were sitting here when we made the decision to support the dark skies designation, it in turn created business opportunities in tourism for our area. So we want to make sure that that continues to happen for us. And reading through the policy, I really like the fact that a lot of it, the upfront part is education, because I think that that's going to be the piece that's the most important. As I read through this, I thought, like, a lot of it is, it takes some time to get, I think, I've already had questions when we've talked about this before. Businesses have contacted me and said, so does that mean we have to change everything, and this is going to cost us a fortune and security? And it's all been addressed in this policy. I feel like those questions have been addressed. The exemptions are there. I even heard people saying, we can't even put out Christmas lights anymore, but no, those are the exemptions that are within this policy. So I feel like as I read through this, and my question was, is it complaints-based, which you answered? Like, it's not gonna be, people aren't gonna be going out looking to see who is adhering to this policy or not. It's if there's an issue with lighting and light pollution, and I notice somebody in my community is not following the rules and it's causing issues, then I would put in a complaint. That complaint would be investigated. So I felt like it was well done. The only other question I had was when it came to prohibitions. The first one says, the use of laser source light, searchlight, spotlights, or any similar high-intensity light for outdoor advertising or entertainment purposes. So I'm wondering, do we have, that we know of, is that an issue at all in our municipality that we know? Like, is that gonna shut something down for somebody? Okay, all right, that was the only thing that I really had questioned. Other than that, yeah, I think this has been a long time coming, and a lot of work has been done for this, and I really appreciate, because both of the dark sky designations are in my district, the one in East Kent and the one in Quinnen as well. So I know the value of this for the people involved with those two businesses. They really want to see this happen. So I'm thankful that we have a policy to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Warden. Councillor Digdon.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I put on Councillor Rachel. Go ahead. You're good.
I'm good?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. It's, dark skies, especially in our area, is a great thing. I've been out to the observatory a couple of times, and that it's great. It attracts a lot of people, by all means. The only thing I'd like to see, maybe this going another step further, so as far as a regional approach. And the only reason I say that is a couple of times that we've had Tim in from the Dark Sky Observatory, he shows us a film about light pollution or a slide about light pollution. I've asked him twice, so I said, now, but where is that light pollution? What ways is that picture coming from? And that Tim. And both times I got the answer, it was coming from the west of us to a neighboring town. And that, and I just, like, we can't tell the people, I don't feel as though we can, it'd be right to tell them in the municipality of Argyle, okay, we can't have lights doing this, we can't have lights doing that. They gotta, you know, after 11 o'clock at night, some of them should be turned off and all that. Where you may have, and I'm not picking on the town of Yarmouth or the municipality of Yarmouth or the municipality of Barrington, where they do have a lot of streetlights, like we as well have some now in our area. And going forward, you may see more, but I just feel as though we can't keep the dark skies dark by ourselves. That's all. So I think maybe it's, you know, we may have to look at the other councils and see if they'd be willing to come on board with some of this also. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Surratt?
Yes, thank you. So this is the first reading, correct? Because I have had concerns about this policy, just how do we dim the lights on wharfs? The safety piece, which are all addressed within here, but it's also, I think what I'm hearing is there's going to be an education component between first reading and second reading? Am I understanding that correctly? Not, what is the timing, I guess? And how will some of these concerns that people have be addressed before the policy is actually passed?
So the education piece would start once the policy was passed. So I guess it wouldn't be between first and second reading, but would be after it was passed. But that education piece would go until January 1st of 2027. And that would be more around educating the different community-based organizations and residents and stuff like that. There will definitely not be anything anybody put into an unsafe situation because of lighting. That's definitely taken into account and addressed in the bylaw.
So if there are people listening tonight and hearing this and kind of concerned about the policy, is there any options for them to come and speak to somebody at the municipality to hear more before we actually get to a second reading?
Absolutely. They can come in
Okay.
directly and speak with us, or they can speak through their counselor or whatever
Okay.
they'd like to do that way. Yep,
For more
absolutely.
clarification?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Thank you. Kyle, he brought something up which actually sort of piqued my interest, and I'm just curious, in regards to the education piece, do we have a budget set for that? Has that been looked at, or do we have a plan in regards to what type of education we're going to be putting out there? Or is this something that is going to take place afterwards?
And would be a lot through social media, a social media presence, and that was kind of the initial thought. I don't think there is funding available in this budget, but CAO Muse would have to speak more on that, not myself.
Okay, thank you. I think if we're going to be putting a bylaw out of this nature in regards to it, and the first part of it is in regards to education, and especially having a long education, I really think that it has to be more than just a social media, you know, and again, and we've talked about who actually gets hit with social media, with the way the algorithms are. We can't ensure that people are going to be getting the information. So something in regards to this that's as important as this, I do think that with the time frame that it takes, that we should have some sort of education plan and what we are going to put out there. And that's going to be a cost, and there's going to be a cost associated with that, and whether that goes for next budget or not. But I think that we are going to have to maybe allow some funds in regards to that to make sure that the education piece and component of this is effective. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Warden Albright,
Actually, we'll let Councillor Madden, because I'm obviously.
Councilor Madden.
So just on that note, good point, Councillor LeBlanc. Wouldn't it be easy to target potential polluters, light polluters, and send them a letter? Because, like, I know Tuscat's a big a lighting area, so I don't know if they're polluting or not, but I know that there's a lot of lights there. Some of the fish plants, it seems to me if we targeted those first, that we wouldn't have as much as a budget item than trying to get everybody, personally. Just an idea.
Warden Albright. Okay.
Yeah, the commercial side, I think, is the easy part. I think we know the commercial establishments fairly well and how they operate and what their needs are. I think the residential one is the harder one to hit everybody on for sure. The commercial one, I think, would be an easy one to have one-on-one conversations with
They
and
would be
educate them.
the most polluters.
Yeah, and they would be the easiest ones to have one-on-one conversations with at little to no cost, just the cost of time for that one.
Okay.
Warden Albright.
Thank you. Somewhere in here, I read kind of what Councillor Digdon said about having conversations with our neighboring partners. I read that somewhere, I can't pick it out at the moment, because, and I agree with that, because one of the things that came up in number 5, when it talks about regulations for outdoor lighting, and it talks about outdoor recreational facilities, right away I thought about the Jumpstart Court. That's by Mariners, the Mariner Center, right? We drive by that and we see the lights on there and people are playing, but in this policy, it says if they're not playing, then the lights go off, but then how do we know when somebody's gonna go play or not play? Like, I'm just wondering, those are things that'll have to be addressed. They're gonna have to set up some kind of a system that when somebody goes to play, you can press the buttons to put, I don't know, that's just, I'm not an engineer, but that just kind of came in my head. It's something we'll have to, right? Those are things we're gonna have to think about, so I agree. I think we will have to have conversations with our partners as well, and I did read it somewhere in here. That's it.
Okay, so any more questions? So we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 9H, boat launch in Tuscan area, Councillor Madden.
Thank you. Deputy Warden? Yes, so I've been approached by a kayaker that wanted to set a boat in the Tuscan River, and I arranged it with the landowner that it was okay, but just, it brought up an idea, a discussion. When I was in council 2008, 2012, it seems to me we had discussed having a boat launch in the industrial park, or there was land set aside for that. So I'm not sure if we got there or not there, or if it's just abandoned. So if somebody could speak on that.
Yep, so that land is still there. I believe it's about 25 feet to get down, width pathway to get down to the water, and then there's a wider opening at the water. The cost of developing that is unknown. I know it's not going to be super simple because it is side of a hill, but that property is there, and it is something that we could explore if council wished.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember we had discussed that back then and didn't know where it had landed.
Okay, is there any question? Councillor Foster.
Yes, I was approached by a gentleman who was born and raised in Tuscan. He doesn't live in the village now, but he was asking, wouldn't it be nice to have a wharf in Tuscan, not for the kayakers, the canoe-type kayakers, but for the ones who fish for kayaks. And he said that there was a piece of land owned by his brother that would probably be for sale for such a purpose, to construct a wharf or a boat launch. And I don't think it's a piece of land that's big enough to put a house on, but it would be wide enough for a boat launch, and it would be in a pretty good location. So I could put you in touch with this gentleman here. You can talk about that possibility or whatever, but it would be a much more suitable location for a boat launch than up in the industrial park, because you wouldn't have the problem of the slope. The reason I was on council, as you know, many years ago, 2 terms, many years ago, And one of the reasons why we developed a residential area in the industrial park is because the land is on a slant like this going down to the river. So it was not suitable for commercial development, but because of its frontage on the water, it made it very desirable land for building houses. So the municipality built a residential subdivision, and it became quite popular. The only thing, the residents there would like to see the road paved, but I was not aware that there was a piece of property set aside for a boat launch. But a bit of a problem with a boat launch there, there's obstacles in the river where the old, well, there's south of the Tusket Bridge. Where the old iron bridge used to be, there's blockings there that were constructed there to divert the logs to the sawmills when the McGrath brothers were in business. It's not a very pleasant place to go boating. So you have to keep to the Dr. O'Brien side of the river. That's where there's deeper water. Anyway, there's just a couple of things I thought I'd toss out there. And I had no idea at the time that you were even thinking about or interested in the subject of a boat launch when this fellow approached me.
Yeah. Coincidence. But yeah, we could look at that with Kyle and go from there. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more questions on that topic? If not, we will move on to 9I, 9I, Exit 33, brush cutting. Councillor Foster.
Yes, I personally come across this problem every day. I spend a lot of time at the school in Belleville, and when I'm at the stop sign, next to Tusket Ford, and I'm looking toward the Belleville area or toward École Panalba, the visibility is not good at this time of year. You've got lupins, you've got alders, you've got tall grass, and even today, when I looked, I didn't see anything coming. When I pulled out, there was a car headed for the overpass. The visibility there is not good at all. And it would only take a couple of men there with handheld cutting devices to remove the vegetation that's causing a problem. Excuse me. So I would like to make a motion that we write a letter to the Department of Public Works requesting that they cut the vegetation that's obstructing the view so we could have the proper view plane restored. That's basically all I would like to see because, like I say, I personally see that problem every day, and I represent District 4, and everybody in my district uses that roadway to get to their homes. And
Okay,
of
so we
course,
have-
this is something that's in the interest of all residents of the municipality or anybody who's visiting our municipality.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Madden and Councillor Surratt.
Yes, thank you. I agree. There's no question the visibility is poor. I was there not that long ago. I'm wondering, we are meeting with Public Works on the 8th. I'm trying to decide and I'm hoping that they can answer that. What's the best strategy moving forward for these kinds of issues? I think everybody around this table can talk about we have the same problem in all. I went into the co-op last night and somebody stopped me because they were trying to leave the post office and the visibility from that road was really poor. So I think it's an issue across our entire municipality. I do have a concern I have a couple concerns. One, if we continually send letters, are they going to be looked at or are they going to be ignored because they're going, oh, here's the municipality, just another complaint. So I'm cautious around us sending too many letters and that we're just kind of seen as kind of complainers as opposed to when we send letters. So like being really strategic on when do we send letters, when do we not. And the other concern I have is if we send a letter on one specific area, are they going to believe that the rest is okay? And that's a big concern, because we know the rest is not okay, because there's concerns in every of our communities in the municipality have the same concerns. So if we just mention one place, is it giving a false impression like the rest are okay? And that's really concerning for me. So I think when we meet with Public Works, a really good question is, what is the best way? How do we get the results? What does it look like? And just a little, it could be any person who could do the cutting, not just men.
Okay, go ahead. Councilor Burke.
Thank you. I guess I'm thinking the same way as our Councillor Surratt. All across our municipality is the same thing, so I'm just repeating what she's saying, and I think we should wait till we meet with Public Works to see what the best option is, and like you said, we're sending letters, and really sometimes nothing is getting done. I'm frustrated, my constituents are frustrated with a lot of things in our area. So I think we should just wait till we meet with Public Works, 8th of July, and we'll go from there and ask if we need to send a letter, or are they gonna do it, or what's their plans? That's all I have to say.
Councilor LeBlanc.
Thank you. Yes, I fully agree with Councillor Surratt in regards to her analysis of this. Actually, I just wanted to make a point, like driving in today, coming to the meeting tonight and driving down through Argyle and Glenwood, what really struck me was the growth of the trees and that and how close they are to the roads, and it's the whole way. And so I got thinking, what is the cost of this going to be for the province to clear this out, or to do this, or to push this growth back? But it has to be done, because it seems like whether they're waiting until they do get a complaint before they come, and then, again, we complain about, the intersection at exit 33 here, and is it 33? Yeah.
Yes.
30, yeah. And so, okay, we got a complaint, they come and they fix that, and exactly like you say, then everything else is fine because they've come and they fix that, right? I think the issue is a lot more, and it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of commitment from the province. And so we can go to, Department of Public Works and say, hey, this is what needs to be done, but they have a budget as well. They only have so much money that they're given by the province, and they have only so many resources. And to try to deal with what they're doing, they're trying to prioritize everything in that regard. I had a conversation with Don Houston last week, actually, over, and again, because I had a resident that had reached out in regards to same type of thing, brush cutting or whatever. And so he called me and he said, look, it's on our list. We don't know when we're going to get there. We're going to, it will be done this year. We just don't know at what time we're going to be able to get this done. So I think they're strapped for resources too. They're going as quickly as they can of trying to do what they're doing. And so I think this is bigger than just going to Department of Public Works. And it's as we keep seeing the amount of growth that's happening right through the whole municipality. A lot of these roadways and ditches and that, they need to be cleared and pushed back. And that's going to have to come from the province commitment. Thank you.
Warden Albright.
Thank you. As Councillor Bork said, this is something that comes up all the time. We hear these complaints all the time, and as you said as well, Councillor Surratt, and it's not that I'm not opposed to sending a letter, but it does give the perception of, well, then what about the other areas? And in the past, it feels like they've kind of said, we're gonna do this area first, and then, like last year in Belleville, you can still see where they took the wood chipper and they went through, like, whatever that machine is called, but I remember you talking about how bad it looks. It looks bad. I wouldn't want to fall on one of those things because I would be impaled. But at least it's not in the road anymore, right? But they don't. It should be done yearly. It really should, because the growth that we see, it's unbelievable. Like, you drive through Quinnen, and I've said it before, it looks like a jungle. The trees are almost hitting the road. We've tried the ticket system where they say call Public Works and ask for a ticket. We've tried that. We've tried sending emails, we've tried sending letters, and I think it's a bigger issue than what we have. I mean, our MLA too will come visit us as well, and I think that that is another resource that we need to tap into, and what can we do? Because we're all dirt roads and brush cutting. Winters haven't been as bad as in the past, except for this one, so we haven't complained too much about the plowing, but the brush cutting is a big issue. So I probably will not support your motion, but only because I agree. I think we should wait till they come on July 8th to have a conversation as to tell us what you want, like the best way to handle all of these situations. It's not that I don't agree with it, but that's why, just so you know.
Okay. Yeah, I have a list of complaints that I received from residents in District Number 4, and I guarantee you I could take anybody to any house where these complaints came from or these concerns originated from, and I could bring you to talk to the residents face to face. These are real, legitimate concerns that I've received from constituents, and I've gotten follow-up pressure since they first brought it to my attention. Why hasn't it been done yet? How come nothing has happened? I've actually had people come to my house and say, what's up with this issue? You know, it's getting worse. And I'm responding to the pressure that's being put on me. I feel the pressure from the public, and of course, I feel the need as their representative to put pressure on the powers that be to make things happen. I don't own a bushwhacking machine. I can't do it for them. All I can do is bring their concerns to the attention of the people that have the power and the resources to make that happen. And so I'm bringing the constituents' concerns here. We've ended up with some excellent letters. At least they're aware of the issues. And hopefully they will be dealt with before something, too serious happens. As for the exit 33, somebody brought the issue to my attention. I don't remember who, but the next time I was at the end of the ramp, I looked, I said, yes, they're right. What they're saying is absolutely right. And if you use that exit as much as I do, which I know you do, I'm sure you've noticed yourself. When you look toward Quinnan or look toward Belleville, there's a very obstructed view on the overpass. Anyway, I'm going to make the motion that we write the letter. Hopefully somebody will second it. Oh,
Counselor
okay,
Dick.
so okay,
Councillor Digdon.
thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And Councillor Foster, you've definitely been representing your constituents well. There's no saying you haven't. Having said that, I don't know if the letters are the way to go, because we've tried letters in the past and they don't seem to work well. I would be more apt to wait until the July 8th meeting and say, okay, how do we approach this? How do we get things done? Because letters don't seem to work sometimes. And for that reason, and not only that reason, I'll definitely agree with what Councillor Surratt said. I'd hate them to think, okay, well, might be the only problem area we have in the municipality, so we'll take care of that one, and that should take care of it all. And there's a lot of problem areas in the municipality. For that reason, I will not be supporting your motion, but I'll definitely be supporting you on the 8th of July, and with what you're going to say there, because chances are you're going to say something towards it. Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Foster.
But you do realize that the motion is for a specific letter for the overpass in Tusket. And then the rest of my concerns that I've sent in per request, we can deal with those on the 8th of July.
Councillor Digdon.
If I may, through you, just my second. I just feel as though now we're the 26th today, but you may get a quicker response, wait until the 8th of July. instead of going through the red tape sometimes that's associated with governments, whether they be municipal governments, provincial, or federal. Thank you.
So we have a motion on the floor. Did we have a seconder for that? Okay. I'm going to add that this always gets our attention, this, every time. And to Councillor Digdon's point, this issue, as it is spoken tonight, if your motion was to be defeated, I don't think it's because they're not supporting you. I think that they've raised great points here. And I think that, you know, I'm not going to try to sway your vote, but I'm saying that you personally are not being ignored here. So I will bring it to a vote. All those in favor of writing a letter? Opposed? Motion denied.
That's fair enough. That's democracy. I don't have a problem with democracy.
Again, Councillor, I don't think they're denying you your voice. I think they're going to be, come the 8th, I think you're going to see this topic is going to be well discussed. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 9J, black bears near local homes, Councillor Foster.
Yes, I have 2 attachments. I would prefer that you look at the photo attachment first. You'll see that's a very big, healthy black bear. That photo was taken by my wife a few evenings ago in the Courthouse Road here in Tuscott. She was in the Courthouse Road to visit with a friend, and this occurred at the end of the driveway, about the 3rd house past the old municipal office. Young married couple with 2 very young children. And the bear didn't seem too concerned about my wife parking in the road and taking a picture through the window of the car. There's other people who have taken videos of the bear dragging the green bin around and feeding out of it. So they're in our neighborhoods. There was a bear spotted at the fire hole in Hubbard's Point about a month ago. So last summer, there were repeated sightings of bears, Tuscott, Hubbard's Point, Mirrors Hill, Sluice Point. They're out there, and they're out there in numbers. So we'd like to think they're not around our homes, but they are. And I worry about the risk that this would pose to the safety of area residents, especially children. But I don't know what an adult would do if he ever got attacked by a bear. I don't know how you defend yourself. But also domesticated animals. People have hens, chickens in their yard, free-roaming chickens in some areas, dogs, cats. I mean, you don't want a bear on your property. It's bad enough to have raccoons and stuff like that, deer, which pose a danger in the form of car accidents. And then earlier this evening, people were talking about ticks, and they're blaming it on the excessive deer population that we have in the county here. Bears seem to be a new reality in our residential neighborhoods. So the motion I proposed to make was to put information perhaps on our website, perhaps get some brochures from the Department of Natural Resources. Maybe we could have some brochures available here on the rack to make people aware that there's bears in the area. Maybe we could create a posting on our website, make people aware, and also offer some advice on how to avoid nuisance wildlife coming into your yard, especially bears. But there's not only bears, there's foxes too. I have a son lives in Sluice Point. He's got a fox den under his shed. He was thinking of scaring him out with loud, heavy metal rock music. He asked me what I thought of that. I said, I suppose they don't like rock music. I don't know. You can give it a try. But anyway, bears are scary. Not scared of anything else. There was a coyote roaming around the village in Hubbard's Point a couple of years ago, and it was sleeping under my truck. I said to my wife, I said, "Do you want to see a coyote?" Because the neighbor called and told me that it was sleeping under my truck. Somebody in the village took matters into their own hands. I don't know who, and I don't know how. But we were told you don't have to worry about the coyote anymore. So anyway, my motion was to write a letter to the Department of Natural Resources to make them aware of the problem, that we have nuisance bears in our communities. What do they suggest we do? And would they have any information that we could pass on to residents in order to help them to avoid an unwanted visit in their backyard? So
do we
I'm
have a
prepared to
second?
make that motion.
I will second that motion. I'm just gonna ask the gentleman that's making the motion if bears have seemed to be. The numbers of bears seem to be growing across Nova Scotia.
Yes.
I know that some of the hunting organizations have approached the government to think about a possible spring bear hunt. And I just wonder, and if you don't, I'm still gonna support your motion, I've seconded it. If you'd be willing to put that in, that to the Department of, well, the Natural Resources to possibly consider a spring bear hunt for the province of Nova Scotia.
Yes, I'd be willing to make that amendment.
Okay, yeah. And I'll second that motion.
Okay, Councillor Surratt.
Thank you for bringing this. Where you described the first place that you described in Tuscot, my niece actually lives there and had sent us photos in her yard as well. And she does have 3 young children as well. My curiosity is around, so you have great suggestions here about advertising and sending a letter to Natural Resources. And I don't know, Renee, this might be, I don't know if you know anything about this. I'm looking at the words protection, I guess, when I ask the question. Do we know, like, the danger? We hear of a lot of bears, but I've never, ever heard of a bear attack in this area. So do we know exactly what the danger is of the black bears and the immediacy of some of, do we need to do more than just write a letter, is, I guess, my question. Do we need to call somebody? Is there some protection services that are required immediately?
That's a great question. Not, we don't, our department doesn't usually deal with the bear calls. But yeah, I suggest if there was one in the yard called Natural Resources, that'd be the first call. But again, education's always good. So like Councillor Foster mentioned, could have a few educational pieces put out there. But again, if you do see, I'd suggest to call Department of Natural Resources. They'd come out.
Councillor Book.
Yes, exactly. We had bears in our community a few years ago, and they called Natural Resources, and they came out and they put cages out to traps to catch them, and they move them outside. I don't know where they bring them, but I've heard that bears will come right back where they first came. So, but that was what they did, and they did trap some, and then they took them away.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you
Councillor
have any,
Digdon.
yeah.
For the most part, a bear does not want to be around humans and will not necessarily want to go around humans. Having said that, I guess it was like the very unfortunate incident that they had down in Cape Breton where a coyote was never supposed to attack a person or whatever. And we know that there, you know, how that went. So, but like I say, you don't trust the bear. It's as simple as that. Some people want to feed them bread and all that. You stay away from a bear. They're a wild animal. And they're wild. It's as simple as that. Their name is there for a reason, wild. And the first call would be, like Renee said, to Department of Natural Resources. And like Kathy said, they'll come out, and that Councillor Bork said, they'll come out and they go after what's called nuisance bears, and that they'll try and trap them and then take them to another area.
So is the motion for awareness or, because,
Well,
just to be clear,
if you look at my first attachment, it's quite clear what I'm asking for. If I can line up the mouse here, guess I'll have to do it this way. Okay, yeah, it's quite clear. I'm saying, write a letter to Nova Scotia Department of Natural Resources and Renewables Wildlife Branch, informing them of the problem, and create a post on the Municipality of Argyle website to inform local residents about the issue and provide advice on how to prevent a visit by a bear on your property.
okay.
But Councillor Digdon suggested an amendment that we write to the Department of Natural Resources, asking them to rethink the possibility of renewing a spring bear hunt. I don't know if it's renewing or establishing, or reconsidering their decision to not have a spring bear hunt. Because apparently, the bear population in Nova Scotia is quite healthy, if I may. There's a lot of bears out there. Some people think that as a result of the wildfire or forest fire between Clyde River and Shelburne, that the situation has gotten worse in this end of the province. I don't know if that's true or not. Natural Resources and their biologist would have a better idea of that.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Thank you. I know one of the comments that was made was in regards to reaching out to the Department of Natural Resources and things. And so, it just got me thinking that, sometimes it's difficult to find those numbers or what number to call or who to call or whatever. And so I actually pulled up our website here for the Municipality of Argyle just to see, how the layout is and that. And, I think it might not be a bad idea at some point is for us to look at our website and maybe have a listing of those contact numbers and whatever, to have easy access right on the front page for people to, and not just the Department of Natural Resources, but maybe also Public Works and a listing of those numbers. That way it's all those numbers are in one spot that people can reach out and know that if I go onto the Municipality of Argyle website, I'm gonna have access to those numbers and be able to get it. So that's all I just wanted to point out. Thank you.
Councilor Digdon?
Thank you, and just through you, Deputy Warden, one more time. I'd also like, if we're gonna send that letter in, to CC it to our MLA. And that just because I wouldn't want him, us to think we're going above him or something, or him not know about it, that's all. Just keep him in the loop.
Okay, so any more questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, so we're moving on to 10A, correspondence and for information. Here we have a letter from East Hants, and from what I understand, they're looking for continued provincial funding support for libraries and maybe increased support. That's as much as the letter is short, and so you've read it in the attachment. I don't know if there's a motion to be made here or not, but Councilor LeBlanc.
Yeah, after reading the letter and looking at what they're doing, I'd actually would be very willing to make a motion to send a letter as well in support of their letter, requesting that the province do look at the funding. Libraries are very important in the area, and especially when we look at some of the internet issues that people have with their houses or whatever, some of them, the only option they have is to maybe go to libraries and to access a computer from that site because of communication issues. So I'd be willing to make a motion to send a letter as well in support of the letter that was from East Hants.
All right, thank you. Do we have a seconder?
I'll say.
Seconded by Councilor Foster. Any more questions? Councilor Burke?
Yes, I'm on the library committee, and we had our meeting last week. And it's very concerning that for the libraries that are not getting enough funding. And there is a review or something that's going on, but it's not done. So the branches, the library is going to be sending letters to the municipality to support more funding. So that's coming soon. So maybe we could hold on to that. I mean, they're responding to that. And also, I think there's going to be a request probably to send a letter to NSFM as well, because they were talking about the libraries as well for funding. So
yeah.
I think maybe we could wait
Sure.
and keep in mind that we are going to be asked to support.
Based on that
we
information.
finish the funding, the process of their review.
Yeah, based on that information, I can certainly withdraw that motion.
Can't withdraw, can you? Okay,
Thank you.
all right. So we shall move on then to 10B. Flyer box in Amiros Hill. Counselor Foster.
There have been 3 calls to the company that's in charge of distributing the flyers in order to replace the box. It's actually the Chronicle Herald who owns the distribution system, and they, as far as I know, they look after the printing of the flyers, but they're certainly in charge of the distribution network. And the first call went out, I think it was the 9th of April, and there's been 2 calls since then. But I think that the project is at the point now where we've got the company's attention. I was here when one of the employees placed the first call, and it sounded very positive that they were going to do it, but nothing happened. The second call that was put out wasn't very convincing. They basically said, we'll look into it. They have since received a third call. They're aware of the calls. They have a record of the calls. They know when the calls came in. And I think we've got their attention on the matter. So I would suggest that we give them more time to come up with it. I don't know who else we could put pressure on, but I drove by where the box is located today, and it's completely dilapidated and falling apart, and it's important to the senior citizens who live in that immediate neighborhood. They look forward to going to the flyer box and getting their weekly flyers once a week, and they use the flyers for planning their weekly grocery purchases or what have you. They like to follow the sales, and they like to talk to each other and discuss what's on sale here and there. And to them, it's a big part of their life when they're retired. And, you know, I often hear seniors talking about what's on sale here, what's on sale there, and they enjoy going through the flyers. And, you know, it contributes to their quality of life and living on a fixed income and all that. If you can save a little bit of money through following sales, you know, it helps. So I know it's the company's responsibility to put that flyer box there and maintain it, but they've allowed it to fall into such a complete state of dilapidation and disrepair. You cannot believe what's there. I wish you guys could see what's left of it. Not much. There's no cover. They've got an old clothing hamper inserted inside. It's a mess. They put a piece of like a garbage bag or something over it when it rains. The residents do, not the flyer company. So anyway, I was approached by a resident, and I've had a follow-up approach by the same resident. And I've also had follow-up approaches from the relatives of the resident who would like to see that replaced. To them, it's an important issue, and I get it, you know? So I thought probably wouldn't be very expensive to have a new one made at K. Nickerson Center or maybe one of the local high schools. I thought it would be a very minimal cost and a good service to the community. But if we own, if we supply it, apparently we own it, we have to maintain it, and we may be, I don't think we'll get a rush of requests to replace flyer boxes. I don't think that'll ever become a big issue. This is my third term on council, and it's the only time I've had that issue brought to my attention. But it is important to the people in the neighborhood, and that's why I've been pursuing this. But I think we've got the support of staff here, we've got the attention of the powers that be. We'll give them more time, and hopefully it'll work out.
Okay, so thank you, Council Officer. So for now, you're going to wait for to see how they're going to put up with this, yeah? Yeah, so you did get Anna's email on all this, right?
I was provided with it by Chantal Newell just prior to this meeting, a paper copy.
All right,
I'm very satisfied with the email and the suggestions in it.
okay, thank you.
I find that staff here does a super excellent job of supporting me in the things that I'm trying to do for my constituents, and I'm very, very appreciative of that.
There's second to none, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to 11, financial request, and that is for Council Community Grant Request, District 5, Warden Albright.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we award the Club des Audacieux de Quinnen $700 in a community grant.
Seconded by Kathy Burke, yes. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we are just about at the end of our meeting for today. I'm sorry, Council Boudreau.
No, go ahead. So, agenda topics for next meeting.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention, I wasn't here the last meeting, and on behalf of the residents of Wedgeport, we greatly appreciate the motion that was passed last meeting for the demolition of the house in Wedgeport, and it's been demolished. I thank you to the staff and the councilors that approved the motion. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So agenda topics for next meeting or notice of motion? Seeing none? Question period, any questions? No questions? We need a motion to go in camera.